this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's micro lesson, I'm going to show you how to play this very slow and laid-back call and response style blues that's played fingerstyle. So this is something that works great on electric guitar, on acoustic guitar, any guitar you've got laying around. You don't even need to pick. You just grab a guitar and I'll show you the format for this and you'll be able to improvise. So once you understand the format, you can just improvise by putting the minor pentatonic scale on top of it, and you can play this as long as you want. It's very relaxing and it's a lot of fun to play, and it's fairly easy. So if you'd like to download the tablature for this lesson, you can get it by going to activemelody.com/micro and do a search for ML047. And while you're there, check out all the other micro lessons that I have. Alright, so this song is in the key of E. We're going to be learning a lot of licks in the E minor pentatonic scale. But the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the heartbeat. That's what I call it. It's what your thumb is doing. And it does the same thing throughout the whole song. So it doesn't change. You're not changing strings or timing or anything. It's just this. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's how you're going to want to count it. I'm also using this part of my hand to palm mute the strings so that they don't ring out. Now once you get that going and you feel comfortable with that, just thumping it with your thumb, the next thing we're going to learn is the call. The call happens over and over again, and then the responses are going to be the little lead parts that happen in response to the call. So here's the call. So we put that with the thumb, so it goes like this. Now here's how we play it. Let me show you the playing, then I'll show you the timing. So we're going to take our our ring finger and middle finger and put them on the 2nd fret, strings 2 and 3. And then I use my middle finger, my index finger, and my right hand to pluck strings 2 and 3. And when I play that, I'm doing a bend. I'm actually bending both strings. It's not a full bend, it's just a partial bend. A bend and release, and then a pull off. So it sounds like this. Let me do it again. Now, the only other thing I'd mention is, notice how after I do the pull off, my fingers go back down to mute the strings. So they're not ringing out like this. And to do that, I'm just going, you can see I put my fingers back down. I'm not pushing, I'm not fretting it. I'm just putting it down just to touch the strings to kill that ringing. Now once you've got that, you've really got the whole thing. Everything else is just going to be responses to that. But that's the groove of the whole song. The other thing I should mention is the timing of when the call comes in. So it comes in on the 2. So you'd count it like this. 1 and 2. Let me do it again. 1 and 2. Right as you say 2, that's when that comes in. Alright, so that's the call. Now let's learn the first response. We're going to learn a series of responses, and they're all going to be played in the minor pentatonic scale. So we're going to start with pattern 1. So pattern 1, if we're in the key of E of the minor pentatonic scale, looks like that. There's a lot of open notes in there. And I cover all 5 patterns in the blues lead course. But that first response we're going to learn sounds like this. Very easy to play. I'm just using my index finger with my right hand plucking the 4th string, and I'm doing a hammer-on the 2nd fret 4th string. Alright, so let me back up and I'll play the call in that first response together. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2. So that's pretty cool. You could just loop that over and over again until you start to feel that. Now the second response goes like this. Very similar. We're just going to go down to the 5th string now, play the open 5th string. I'm using my index finger again. Doing a hammer-on to the 2nd fret 5th string, and we're going to do another hammer-on the 4th string, 2nd fret. So now you've got response number 1, response number 2, and then I go back and play response number 1 again. That's how, and all of that is really just the setup, the rhythm setup, and then we get into some higher notes, which sounds more like a lead part. Alright, so let me back up and play response number 1, response number 2, back to response number 1. You'll see what I mean. Here we go. You can see I just repeated response number 1, and all that is just setting it up. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale, which is right here. So the first lick we're going to play is a slide with my ring finger. I'm coming up to the 5th fret 2nd string, letting that note ring out while I play the 3rd fret 1st string. Now keep in mind you've got that bass going on underneath that, your thumb. So you got, and you can just practice looping that just until you get the feel of it. So that's the first one. Then the next one goes, so that's just a hammer on between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on the 2nd string. And by the way, I'm using my index finger for this. And then the next response goes like this. And that's sliding with my middle finger up to the 4th fret, 3rd string. My index finger goes down on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. So you can see I'm just tracing the notes of that pattern too. I mean, it makes sense, but when you put it in context, when you put that bass note with it, it sounds like you're really creating something pretty cool. And you are. All right, so let's back it up and play everything up to that point. Got one more response, which is that it's just a slide from the 2nd fret up to the 4th fret on the 3rd string, and then we just repeat. I go right back to where I started. And those are just a few licks to get you started, but once you get that going and you've got the timing down, then just keep going with it. Start improvising, play some licks in other patterns, and see what you can come up with.